I teach, I call it making soup, where you take the back and it's nice when we're in my gym. I have a judo subfloor, Fuji mats. There's springs. I think there's 16 springs underneath every one of our floors. As if you're
that's great.
Yeah, like you're in an Olympic judo floor, and padded walls, air conditioning. We got fans. It's just the most conducive environment for it to be nice, safe training. You and I step out into that parking lot, the whole world changes about what jiu-jitsu should look like.
Right.
So making soup is when I take that back mount, I just take their face and I push it into the ground. I only need an inch for me to break his orbital socket in his nose on the concrete, and then once those teeth and a little bit of, the cerebral spinal fluid drips out of the nose, and a little bit of the blood and gum and saliva, that all gets mixed in front of this guy's face before the darkness slowly closes in. That's the end of the fight.
On concrete and with a back mount. It's just fighting a judo guy.
Yeah.
Imagine that, wearing a winter coat, fighting a judo guy in the street.
Satoshi threw me, Olympic gold medalist, just threw me to the ground over and over and over again. Danaher, he's like, how beautiful, and because I was on the receiving end of it, he said, how beautiful is it for how effective it is that he can just take somebody and put them on the ground. And I was like, yeah, it's really beautiful.
How are his submissions?
Definitely not his. I don't think he ever attacked one time.
Really, just control mostly?
Yeah. And he had great control. He was really hard to get out from under. He's really strong. He has this gigantic head.
Yeah, he's huge.
And his hands are, his grips are wild.
He's like 5'10", 260, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was hard.
Very Mark Hunt-esque.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's such a sweetheart to train with. He was great, but being able to, I can knock you out with my fist or my elbow or my shin or my knee, but he takes the earth
and he hits you with the earth.
He hits you with the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, the earth is big.
The earth doesn't move when you hit it. It's not like a heavy bag.
You're taking a stubborn, dumb object, me, and then you're taking a movable and a non-moving object like the earth and
yeah. No, I've seen so many horrific street fights on Instagram and YouTube where a guy picks a guy up and slams him on the ground. Yeah. It's the worst. It's the scariest thing, man, because you land head first on the ground like that when somebody hoists you up in the air.
Oh, bam!
Bam. I mean, fuck.
We back to leg locks on the ground. I was teaching a course in New York, a Sheepdog Response course, and there was a couple black belts that were in the course, and we're fighting for guns and knives. They're rubber guns and knives, and I'm in half guard, and I take, he had the weapon, the gun in his arm, in his waistband, and he was covering it with his arm, and I pulled it out the back, so I now have his gun, and he dives underneath like he's going to go for a leg lock, and
while you have the gun?
Oh, while I have the gun, and I was standing over him, and I'm just like. So I tap him as he's, I'm good at leg locks, and I'm just moving my feet so he's not getting it finished. But I'm tapping his forehead with the gun, and he still hadn't processed. As he's having this piece of plastic hit him in the face, and he finally opens his eyes, and the realization that I'm tapping him in the face with the gun, that as he's diving for a leg lock, how dangerous sports jiu-jitsu is to combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's why I love that combat jiu-jitsu. It's adding a degree of realness.
Well, it's definitely opening up people's eyes that were just straight up jiu-jitsu players that took a chance and didn't want to do MMA, but said, let me see what happens when you add slaps.
Yeah.
But you see guys who excel at that, like guys like Wagner Rocha, who's a jiu-jitsu black belt, but also an MMA fighter. And so he gets on top of guys and smashes them. Just smashes them.
He's good.
Yeah, it's just like there's a lot of positions that aren't really effective unless you make this agreement where you're not going to slap or strike. It's the same thing with boxing. People always say boxing is a very effective martial art. Sure, if we make an agreement that I'm not going to pick you up and throw you on the ground, or if we make an agreement I'm not going to kick your legs out from under you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as soon as you make an agreement with that, there's a great video on Glory Kickboxing's Instagram page of this dude, I forget his name, this Russian guy, a real high-level guy who fought Badr Hari, fought a lot of guys, but he's fighting this boxer. And it's a boxing versus Muay Thai fight. And it's hilarious to watch because this is it.
Yeah, it's comical.
What is his name? Does it say his name? This dude's. I've seen this guy fight multiple times.
4 of those kicks, we're done.
I mean, it's crazy because the guy comes in trying to box and he's just getting his legs destroyed. He never gets a chance to set his feet. And then he gets head kicked and then chopped out, and then this is the end of it. He's like eventually like, what the fuck, man? And that guy's not walking for days, by the way. Alexei Ignashov. That's it, right? Yeah, that's the dude. And he's a fucking super technical guy who was I think he actually has one decision win over Badr Hari like back in the day, but like super high
He
level.
kicks beautifully.
Oh my God, he's excellent. His downfall was the hooch. The guy liked to drink a little bit too much, partied.
Helio Gracie, Hoyler told me as we were talking about jiu-jitsu evolving. He said, my dad would say that if somebody can touch your face while you're doing jiu-jitsu, that you're doing jiu-jitsu wrong. I'm like, dude, that's brilliant.
Yeah.